guarding the Republic through reason, history, and honest conversation, where duty meets discourse and liberty finds its voice. Together we stand watch as citizens, freelanders, and centenniers, the defenders and guardians of liberty, freedom, and the Republic itself. So grab your favorite adult beverage and join me at the Sentinel Republic.
Oh, bartender, that'll be a double shot of your very best watered-down gin right here.
Hello and welcome back to the Sentinel Republic, where we're having just so much fun, more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. We're going to go over today taxes. Yes, our wonderful tax system. But before we get into that, I am going to mention that my first book is out. It is available on Amazon. The cover is, let's see, this way. Right there. Anyway, it's up there in the corner. That's the cover. There is on Amazon. You can go search for it, or I will have a link in the description of this video. Do apologize for all the delays on that. But one thing I do hope you enjoy on it is just give you ideas. You know, I'm not trying to, like I say, I'm not trying to make anyone change any beliefs or go into things, but I do want you to think about how things are and what we're doing here with the Sentinel Republic. And I want to have an open mind and go in thinking, hey, yeah, there's some ideas here that are maybe not, you know, workable in the short term, but things in the long term that will really help us. With all that said, a big part of the book, actually, it's not all just about a sortition and everything else. I do talk about education, healthcare, a lot of stuff in there that I believe that we can do to fix this thing. And of course, in my previous videos, I've talked about 17th Amendment and some other things that are also in there as well. But in this case, for today, we're going to go for the tax system. And it's always been a big hot topic for a lot of people. Why did we pay taxes? Where did it come from? And if you go back to the 17th Amendment, there was an amendment right before it called the 16th Amendment. And guess what that one did? And it was passed the same year as the other one. The income tax. Yes, that's where the income tax comes from. So within the 1 year, and I will pinpoint this in my Lessons of History book, which is upcoming as well. That is where I kind of start pinpointing a decay of our republic. They take away the Senate from the states. They implement income tax. And there's a lot of other little things in that range that really started eroding our republic from what our founding was. And how it was voted in, you know, democracy, words. Let's change words to make things sound really good. And we need it. And we have to have it. And you know, people fall for that stuff, unfortunately, because they're either uninformed or just listen to their party or listen to the politicians. And we'll, you know, previously with our, what do you call it? The minimum wage. And we'll get into that with this too, because this right here is affected by a minimum wage. And this is how politicians get you, whether you know it or not. Republicans and Democrats, doesn't matter who they are. This is how they get your money. That's how they take advantage of you. And we'll go into all this in just a few moments. Like I say, we pass these income tax, and it's not just that. We start getting into a whole bunch of stuff. The politicians keep taking more and more advantage of spreading it out. They don't want to just get one tax because there's no transparency. Now we go for little things, and your little phone bills and your other bills and your registration fees and all this stuff. It's the government just infiltrating, and everything that should be in there should already be covered by the government and its laws, not by new little fees, new little things. And that's how they raise your taxes, whether you don't know them or whether you know it or not, because most of you don't. And most of us don't. I mean, it's amazing how many things just get passed without no one realizing it. It's like no taxation without representation. We went to a revolution over taxes. Were we represented? Are we not? But then again, you look at us today. Are we being represented by these corrupt politicians that you got a douche and a turd sandwich? That's where you choose from. You're forced to choose the giant douche or the turd sandwich. Which one do you go for? There is one that's sometimes better than the other, but you're still forced to choose one or the other that are going one side or the other, and that's one's too far, one's too right. But at the same time, they're all there for that green. That's what they want. And that's what we need to start working on trying to prevent and regain our transparency, regain the order of government to help governance ourselves better. And how do we do that? We take charge ourselves. We're the people. We are the people of the United States. We are need to get together and try to reform our government to the best we can without, violence or anything. We don't need to do that, but we need to gain common citizens back into this instead of elite powerful people or people that are there for the money, for the fame, the fortune. The power, especially the power of the world order, whatever it is that has control over all this, because there's money everywhere, and everyone is also focused about money, and it's just greed. It's just another sin, whether these people think there is or not. But all these politicians come out with all this sin and greed, and they're not doing it for you or anyone else. They're doing it for themselves. Other exceptions may have probably, there's a few, but still, the majority of them, even the ones that pretend that they're not, it's all an act. So what we're going to do today to start off, I'm going to read you all the taxes. Yeah, we don't pay all of them, and now they don't affect all of us, like some states don't have income tax, but I'm going to read you all of them. And the majority of us pay most of these fees and taxes. And they could call them fees all they want. They're still a tax that goes to the government coffers. It's the same thing. And we need to eliminate that. We need to make amendments to prevent them from growing out of control. And I do provide solutions. Maybe some things are debatable in my plans, but at the same time, I do have some solutions that I present in my book to help get us to a more transparent government in collecting our taxes. And of course, by doing the way I do it, we can eliminate the IRS. They can't come after us for stuff we've already purchased. No. It's not how it's supposed to be. But here I'm going to be looking off a little bit, so I won't be looking at you, but I'm going to read you a list of all the taxes. I would put them on the screen, but there's over 100 of them. And that's, again, where they get you. But we're going to start with the federal taxes. Yes, direct federal taxes. These are unavoidable and for most working Americans. We have federal income tax, of course, 1913, Amendment 16. We have payroll taxes, FICA, Social Security, and Medicare tax. Yes, that's another good one that we don't think are tax, right? So a lot of people don't even know they're paying it. Yeah, they get this thing. What is they get? I saw some videos where some people get the checks and they're like, "What is this stuff?" They have no clue. No one's taught them. It doesn't get taught in school. No one knows what they are. But they're a big chunk of your check that goes away from your income that you have to pay. So yeah, our payroll taxes, FICA. Yeah, lovely, right? And I have a whole thing about Social Security and Medicare and all that stuff too. That's all in my book as well. But it is something that's going to have to be fixed. We all know it's not going to survive much longer, but we won't go into that right now. 3, additional Medicare surtax. 9%, 0.9% on the high earners. I have to pay that. Capital gains tax. We all love capital gains, right? They're short term and long term. You invest in you invest in your investments and everything else. You have to pay the capital gains. You make money, you have to pay it. Well, that sounds great, right? I make money, you should have to pay tax right on it. No, that's not how it's supposed to be. I want to buy a house. And I want to do an investment. I'm taking risk. Putting my money in there. Do I get refund if I lose? If it goes down, yeah, you get depreciation. You can wipe it off your thing, but that's how these big corporations and lawyers get away from most of the stuff. They fudge the books and they don't pay nothing. So yeah, we can go on that one all day too. And then we get dividend tax. Number 5, dividend tax. You got to pay taxes on your dividends. And that goes. And then we got estate tax, number 6. You worked hard all your life. You saved you paid all your taxes all the way up. Now you have this estate now and you die. Guess what happens? You have to get taxed again. Lovely. Yes. More money from government. You think the rich lawyers and rich people and rich politicians know how to get around that? Oh, they do. They know how to get around that stuff. Then we got a gift tax. Yeah, we got to pay gifts. You can't only give your kids so much money. You can't, pay for their stuff. You have to watch how much you give their children. That's why they got 529 plans and all that stuff for retirement. Yeah, you got to get around the system by doing that. So that's another thing for the wealthy to get around. And I'm not bashing on wealthy, by the way. I'm totally, we'll get in that later. But it's how the system works. And, the politicians definitely put that in there for themselves. Then we got number 8, net investment income tax, NIIT, 3.8%. There we go. There's another one there. Then we got 9, alternative minimum tax that they're doing. Yeah, alternative minimum tax. We got to put that in there. Now we go on to the section B, federal business and investment taxes, often passed on to the consumers. Yeah, we pay this. Might not, the businesses pay it, but we pay this, by the way. We got corporate income tax, corporate minimum tax. That's 10 and 11. And then we got 12, excise tax for federal excise tax. And that's in, so that encompasses gasoline, diesel, alcohol, tobacco, marijuana. Well, federal doesn't do marijuana, but you get there. Firearms and ammunition, airline tickets, indoor tanning. They have indoor tanning tax. It's that part of federal excise. What are we doing? What are we doing? Then we got 13 here, and this is also passed on. Tariffs and import duties. And then we got 14, customs fees. Yep, we all pay for that. Yep, it raises our prices at the store because they're not going to. They're not going to pay it. They'll pass it on to us. Then we got 15, harbor maintenance tax. That's another federal tax that we don't pay, that we have to pay. Then we got 16, merchandise processing fees. That's all worked in there. Then we go on to number C here, federal fees and that function as taxes. Yeah, they like to pass these fees just like they did with Obamacare. Oh, that's a fee. No, fee. No, it's still a tax. It's the same thing. Whatever. They're still putting that on there. So they can say it all they want and call it a fee, but it's still a tax. So let's go. We'll call it fees for what we have it down on the list here. 17, we got passport fees. 18, immigration filing fees. Yeah, we got to charge these immigrants, we got to get their fees too. 19, federal court filing fees, of course. 20, FCC regulation fees. You got 21, SEC transaction fees. Then you got 22, national park entrance fees. We taxpayers maintain all those parks, right? But now just to go in our own people's park, we got to go pay another fee on top of all that tax and fees that we already pay. There's another way to get some more money. And we got 23, aviation security fees, the TSA fee, which, TSA, got to pay that one. 24, Superfund taxes, chemicals and petroleum. Yeah, we got to pay that one. Oil spill liability tax. Then we got 26, truck use tax. 27, highway use tax. Yeah, that's great. Now that's the federal. Now we can get into our state. And I know some states don't have all these, but keep that in mind. Most states do, some states don't. And not all these taxes are all over the place, and we do get around some of them, but at the same time, keep in mind, you're paying most of these. So our state level taxes. We got our state direct taxes, which is 28. State income tax. Yep, state. And then we got 29, state payroll taxes. 30, state capital gains tax. They charge them too. 31, state dividends tax. See, about the same thing. 32, state estate and inheritance tax. They got to get their share of your estate and your inheritance. Then you got state franchise tax, state minimum business tax. That's 34. And then we get into some consumption taxes that are already on top of the federal taxes, which you got state sales tax, which we all have. 36, use tax, out-of-state purchases. That's like when they go on Amazon, they have to make sure they collect all that and get it for their state because you're buying off there and you got to make sure they collect that. 37, gross receipt tax. 38, luxury taxes. 39, excise taxes. There's your gas, alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, sugar, sweetened beverages. Some states do. You can't buy your soda. You got to have to pay your sugar. And then we got vaping products, of course. It's all taxed by the state and excise tax. Then we got C, state property related taxes. We got property tax. Yeah, they got to come take, you bought your land, you own your land, but you don't own your land. The state own your land. And they come collect your property. Oh, we got to pay for schools and all that. Nope, got to Got to collect off your property too. So now we got that. Then we got personal property tax, vehicles and equipment you have to pay. Then you got 42, real estate transfer tax. Then you got 43, mortgage recording tax, because that's on your mortgage recording. Then we go to state fees that are taxes. Most people know these ones too. 44 is vehicle registration fees. You gotta register your car with the state, which, understandable, okay, but that's still another fee that they collect, which is a tax in a sense, because you can't go out without it if you want a car. Driver's license fees, same thing. Title fees for house, cars, all that good stuff. Inspection fees, if you want to add on to your house or you want to do a building and permit, you got to pay those fees as well, which are taxes essentially. 48, environmental impact fees. And you got 49, utility regulation fees. You got 50, professional licensing fees. You got 51, business filing fees, court, and then 52, court fees, which you can go to court, you're going to pay federal fees, you got to pay state fees, you got to pay municipal fees. They got to make sure to wrap all that in. Although we do pay taxes to make sure that the courts run, right? They don't rely on just that. Well, you're using a fee, so, well, that's going to be debatable, but we'll go into those later. 53, public defender fees. 54, probation, parole fees, because, we have to pay for, all the court fees and all that stuff. That's not just worked into the tax system. Why would it be? Why wouldn't we do it so simply? 55, education activity fees. 56, state park fees on top of the federal park fees. 57, hunting and licensing fees. Then we got, now we get down to our county and local taxes. Then we got our county income tax. Some counties do that. Municipal income tax, local payroll tax, local sales tax, and local gross receipts tax. That's 58 through 62. Then we get into our property and housing tax, because then there's county property tax as well. School district tax, you got to pay for the schools. That's 63 and 64. 65, special assessment tax, got to pay for the assessor and all that good stuff. 66, Melrose improvement and district tax. 67, stormwater taxes, a lot of them you have to pay. 68, sewer taxes. 69, fire district tax, got to pay. 70, library district tax. 71, transit district tax. Local fees that are also taxes, you got water and sewage fees, you got garbage and collection fees, storm drainage fees, road impact fees, development impact fees. Got to redo all the research to be developed or anything else like that. Building permit fees, zoning fees, parking fees. A lot of parking fees, red light camera fines, speed camera fines. They're putting so many cameras in now, and those are so trustworthy, if you want to call them that. Let's see, red light camera fees, speed camera fines. They're not still putting the speeding ones in too. That if you go over 5, what is it? If you go over 1 mile an hour over, you're going to get tickets now. I don't know what their leeways are on that, but that's a whole nother thing. They got to track you. Toll road and bridge tolls, congestion pricing. A lot of places, cars, like New York, I know for sure has like those things where you drive so much you have to pay a tax on your car. Tourism taxes, hotel occupancy tax. I see that a lot more anymore. Rental car tax, short-term rental tax, entertainment tax, and amusement tax. You see those on hotels and stuff now all the time for things. That's 72 through 89 for local fees. Then we get into our education and healthcare taxes for the section 4 here, 90 through 98. I'll read these off. Tuition fees, which are government, and I understand tuition. I'm not problem, and I'm not talking about the tuition itself. It's the fees on top of the tuition. Then you got student activity fees, technology fees, mandatory insurance fees, because you have to have the insurance, and they charge fees on top of all the insurance because you have to have it, so you got to pay the fees. That's not a tax, right? Healthcare mandate penalties. That's like Obamacare, where you didn't have your healthcare and you got taxed for it and feed on it. Hotel facility fees, medical device taxes, which are passed on to the consumer. Some businesses pay them, but then you have to pay for it on the flip side. Prescription drug surcharges. Sorry about that. Healthcare regulatory fees. You start seeing those more and more often, but a lot of them aren't even shown. Then we got hidden and indirect taxes in Section 5 here. These don't show up as tax either on paper, but you pay them. You got inflation tax. Just inflation itself is a tax, by the way, because as the prices of everything go up, everything gets collected and everything, so that price goes up, and that raises the income tax, that raises the collection. So inflation itself is a tax. So yes, inflation tax, regulatory compliance cost passed on through prices, carbon credits and offsets. You hear about those now a lot. Energy efficiency mandates, they put those things in a lot. Zoning and secrecy premiums, licensing barriers, occupational permits, banking compliance costs, credit card interchange service costs and fees, credit card interchange fees, payment processing fees, insurance mandate costs, and subsidy cross pricing, and debt interest and future taxes. It's 99 to 111. That's not even counting like fees on your phone bill, like 911 surcharges and all that good stuff too, and all that. So you start sitting it down, and you start calculating all these little fees, carbon things, and all this stuff, and taxes, surcharges. You're not paying just 30 or whatever % income tax, which is taken from your check prior. And when you get a refund, it's not really a refund; it's your own money. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that part. But you're paying 111 different taxes here. And it's hidden. A lot of them are just hidden, and you don't realize you're paying more than 50 to 60% in taxes in your day, in your year, that you don't even aware that you're doing. And then I hear people screaming, "We need a fair tax, fair, fair. Make the rich pay their fair share." They don't pay their fair share. They pay more. I mean, they pay a lot more in a lot of regards, but at the same time, they don't. I mean, I totally get that too, and I think there is a problem there, and we'll go into that in a few moments. But they compound, and they're passed on through prices. They're passed on in you're buying your eggs at the store. They're passed on every time you go to the gas pump. If you ever broke, some states require that they show. I remember going up to Idaho, you see what the tax really is. And you realize, man, I'm paying like 30 cents for a gallon of gas. But it's still $2.80. How is this possible? We got to build the roads, we got to build the bridges, but that's still government responsibility. They need to be more transparent. Do you know that? Does the average person know that what these taxes are doing? What are they doing and how they do? And when you buy your piece of property, that's yours. You should own it. But no, if you don't pay that tax, what does the government do? They come in and take it from you. It's my privilege to live on this land. It's not theirs. But yet they think it is. It's their land. We allow you to live here so we can take it from you whenever we want. We need an amendment to stop this. We need to regain our transparency with our federal government and our local, state, and local municipality governments. They need to quit. We need one tax system. And I do propose one in my book. I do understand taxes are necessary. Things to get roads and bridges, we have to do this. There is taxes. I'm not saying no taxes are needed, that taxes are bad or taxes are... I got to get my arms right. There we go. I'll get this right. This here is, yeah, it's AI generated, but I did generate it. Just a small bit of these taxes, not all of them. I couldn't get them all to show up right. This is our government taking our money right now. Just look at them trying to take this poor guy's money into the pockets, just taking everything out that they can. All these taxes, all these things, just reaching and grabbing and stealing. And you think the rich are going to pay this fair share and everything else, the wealthy and the elites, especially the politicians. No, that's why their 1040 is so damn big. It's loaded. All those lines on your 1040. You make it 50 pages now. It's how you take a tax return. It's 50 pages. Why do they do that? Why? Well, that's how they get away buying a billion-dollar yacht. These billionaires can buy $100 million yacht, right? They go down, they write it off as a business expense. So then they use all these high-priced lawyers and accountants and everything else to fudge the books and make sure that the gas that's written off and that's taken off the thing and all all the maintenance for it is all written off and they don't have to pay any tax on it. And that's where the trust in local people, average people, get lost that's why it's so easy for these Democrats to use, and liberals and socialists to use that against the rich, if you want to call it that, where they want to show, oh yeah, these rich people don't pay their fair share. And in a way they don't. And I agree with some of that. They do pay the majority, and I do get that as well. And it is a catch-22 there. But at the same time, they know they're using good lawyers and good accountants to get around their businesses and corporations, and that's why they have all these lawyers and corporations to work with the IRS to help get around paying all these taxes. Then they do charitable donations when they're not really charitable, and they got foundations, and yeah, they put all this stuff to it, but they use it for their own self-interest causes and not for what really needs to be done. And then what does most of this money go to? It goes social welfare programs and other things like that. And then people, what the average person, like middle class people, are forced, that can't afford big lawyers and big things, are forced to pay the full brunt of these taxes. We don't have lawyers to get around these things. We have to pay the majority of it. And it takes advantage of us. And then when we are paying all these kind of taxes right here, it makes it a lot harder to donate to charitable causes for us, because we're striking by. And a lot of the lower income, higher middle income classes are too poor to even afford to do charitable. And then they don't donate as much to the church. The churches can't help the poor as much, all because of these taxes. And who's benefiting from these taxes? It is rich elites, politicians. They love it, and that's why they love minimum wage, because you raise minimum wage, all these get taken more of. And that's where people get lost. They sounds good. I'm going to make more money at the store. I get to make more money working at Walmart. I get to make more money working at McDonald's. I get to make more money at $20 an hour. Sounds great. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Government makes more money from you. Government takes more money from you when they do that. That's why minimum wage is out of control. It's a scam. It's a scam by politicians to take advantage of you. My tax system is simple. One tax, no fees, no none of this garbage. The government needs money, they will ask for money. Simple bills. Aircraft carrier, not a load of garbage at 1,200-page bills full of bloated pork. Where is my hand? There we go. This is my tax. One tax, consumption tax of some kind. Yeah, we can straighten out some details, but you go to the store. Yeah, I'm going to get some goods. I'm going to get my soda pop, and I'm going to get me my canned peas, and I'm going to get me myself root beer or whatever, and go home and whatever. But I'm getting something from it, and I'm giving the government their share that they need. One tax, one simple tax. Yeah, will it be higher at the store? Yes, it would be. It's going to cost a little bit more going to the store. You want that DVD that's $20, you're going to be paying, 30% on it. So you're going to be paying $3 extra on it. Yeah, you're going to have to pay more at the store. It will cost more to go buy a car. But at the same time, let's say I go buy this, for simple numbers, $100,000 investment property. I want to put some extra money into my property, and I want to buy a new property at $100,000. I will pay my tax on that $100,000, so it becomes 100. Let's just use 30% as a round thing. I don't know what the exact numbers. I've ran some calculations, 20 to 30%, if we can get rid of a lot of our bloat and waste. But even then, that's federal, and then you got state and local. I do this all the way down the board. Your property is yours. They're not going to come after your property no more. They're not coming after your car for tax evasion. There's no reason to have an IRS to come after you. It's all done through business. It's all transparent. You'll know the tax rate. It's going to be fluctuable and variable, just like the stock exchange. When we buy the aircraft carrier and we need $100 million for the aircraft carrier, it's going to raise the tax rate 0.1 or 0.01% or whatever it is. And it will only be for a short period of time. I go to all this in my book. I try to be as transparent as I can in it. It makes more sense, and I don't want to go through all the stages, but at the same time, I want you to understand where we're coming from here. Simplified. We go and buy something. The businesses are registered. They are connected. They'll charge your state. They will charge your local municipality. They will have to, but they're all forced to be transparent with what they want, when they want it, and how they are done by it. Not hiding these fees and garbage all the way through. You can talk, well, wait, only certain people use the national parks. No, it's the people's parks. They need to be preserved. They need to be maintained. They need to be enforced. I get all that. It's needed. It's necessary. That is not a problem. But when they start charging fees for everyone that wants to go use these parks, it's not fair to us, because it's the people's park, not the government's park. It's our park. They do need maintenance, though. They do need fees, and we do need regulation. I do understand that. Do we need to charge marijuana users for that? Do we need to charge cigarette people for extra money? And usually that's poor and lower income people that are struggling to get by anyway. So what do? We ram up their taxes on those people. Is it trying to prevent them from using the drugs? Maybe, but at the same time, they're going to go get it everyone wants, and then their children suffer. It's another scam by the government to get more money. If our schools need money, then they get money from raising taxes. Say our school district needs another $100 million to build another school. Then they ought to propose it. They give it to their local county administrator, the local state administrator. They propose it. And they need grants, and they propose it. And then they have to adjust the rate for this whatever short period of time it's going to take to pay it off. That keeps us running into this ungodly $37 trillion debt in the federal government. We got to get out of this debt. It's all going to be interest soon. We won't be able to afford our military. We won't be able to afford our protection. We won't be able to afford Homeland Security. And we won't be able to afford grants. We get out of this debt, then we can start giving grants to these schools. If there's a thing in Florida and a disaster, then we can raise the rate for a short period of time and we pay it off. We don't run into these debts. The only exception I do is like for a time of war. And if there's an actual declared war, I don't say these national emergency wars and all this other garbage executive orders and stuff. No, it's not how it's meant to be. The legislature's got to do its damn job and regulate this stuff. And that's why I do simplified bills in here. I talk about simplified bills. None of these god-awful 1,200-page Obamacare pork bills that have things for Lincoln Center and all this other garbage and other things, pet projects to get every single senator on board. That's junk. It should be banned and illegal. And that's all these people. They're all business people. They're all negotiators. They know how to give, take. Yeah, there's some of that has to be involved, but they don't do it for that. They do it for self-interest, not for what's good for the people. And that's where things get a little tough. So can we get down to a simplified tax system and prevent our government from stealing our money, just wasting it away in our bloated and god-awful bureaucracy? That's what needs to be thought about, and that's what we need to go with, and that's something we need to consider. And I do hope that my ideas and some of this stuff here helps open your eyes to how the government is taking advantage of us, and not just us. I'm talking to everybody, even the rich. They get taken advantage of in a sense too. Yeah, they know how to get around a lot more, and I do know that. I'm not talking about just, right or left. I'm talking about all of them. But I mean, like my consumption tax will work just so cleanly. If they want to buy that $1 billion yacht or whatever, they're going to pay the tax on it. Is it going to stop them from buying that kind of stuff? Not even close. But they will be forced to pay that regulated share that is shown and transparent. That's transparent and fair to everybody. I talk about how it's done with tariffs, that all these countries sending in pay the minimum tax or whatever it is. The tariff is the same rate. It's the same thing. We're coming in. We're still going to pay it. But that still goes right to the government. Yes, the government's still going to be getting a nice chunk of money, though. Just think of how everything is purchased. The state, the gross national product, it will come back to the government in morefold, actually. I think we can lower our rate even further. If we start getting rid of some of this bloated welfare bureaucracy and all that garbage that's out there, and have it more run locally and short term and a lot more regulation over it, where it can be watched and managed locally. And then people will have more money. You just think of all the money you can have. It will increase people's ability to start their own businesses and invest and invest. You have all this extra money coming for your paycheck. You won't be getting raked right when you get the money right away. You're going to have extra money. Yes. Yes, things are going to cost more to invest in. Yes, things are going to cost more at the store. You still got a budget, but there's no retirement tax. There's none of these things where you're taking beneficiary taxes. You're going to be able to get more money in your investment. There won't be a 401k. There won't 529, all this other bloated garbage that's run by the government to keep us in line and in control. You can be free. You can go out and buy that $100,000 investment property. Put that extra $30,000 is taken for taxes. Okay, I understand that. Budget it in. Now you got it. If it comes up to be a $250,000 house and you turn it around, $250,000 house, you've just made $150,000, my friends. If you want to go invest in Cryptcoin and you go in and it goes makes $100 million, you just made $100 million. I'm sorry, I get passionate about that. I didn't mean to drop that there. And I'll probably edit that little spot out or bleep it out. But at the same time, that is, it is passionate. Businesses would pop up a lot more if you got more money to invest and not have to worry about this red tape and garbage and taxes and fees. Yeah, you're going to have to manage and send the appropriate taxes in, but you have to do that anyway. It's all regulated anyway. But you won't have your property taxes on your businesses. You won't have all this other garbage on there. It'll be transparent. You'll know what you have. You own it. It's yours. And you have the freedom and liberty to continue on and make something for yourself. And then you can be more charitable. You'll have extra money. You'll have these successes. The average person who's grown up without anything can now have some opportunity to make something of themselves instead of relying on welfare programs and government. You'll have your money. It's yours. Your property is yours. The government can't come and seize all that garbage. It's yours. Now, if you don't pay a credit card statement, that's a little different story, obviously. You know, that's a whole nother topic. But at the same time, the government can't come and seize your house for property tax. Because you don't have to pay something you already own. That is yours. But at the same time, people don't realize how much little things can affect how everyone lives. How all these hands of the government reaching into your pockets controls you. And how minimum wage and all of it just works together in tandem, and inflation to just make government more bloated and big and just garbage. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I do hope you join me for the next one. I do hope you want to take time and get my book. There's a lot in there. It's not as much as I liked. I do plan to do a second edition. I didn't put in like gerrymandering. There's a lot of other topics. I have a thing called the Right of Confession that I'm putting in my constitutional book that I'm writing in my book 3, where I actually am rewriting the Constitution of the United States. Not taken away. I'm not taken away from the founders. I am just creating something to implement my stuff, bringing it up to date for the modern era from the exploration age, let's call it. We need a new draft, I think. Adding in court precedents, removing things that are no good, like the 16th and 17th Amendment, simplified taxes to prevent government from overreaching on us, restoring our checks and balances, and rebuilding our republic to what the founders originally dreamed. And that's where I'm hoping to go with all this. Not dividing us, but bringing us back together. Bringing the United States back to the United States. Maybe not even of America, but maybe in future like Canada and stuff, some other provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan. Maybe someday the UK will finally revolt over their monarchy and want to join us as 4 different states. Maybe Australia someday would like to join us as a few states. Yeah, I welcome, not just of America, but a new United States. The Sentinel Republic of the United States is what I envision. Is it going to happen? It's still a dream, but I think we would be free. That's why I call ourselves Freelanders and Sentinels instead of Americans. Because we are Freelanders. We should be free and liberty to do what we need to do to bring more stars on the flag here and bring us more together in a united front. One language, $1 system. Maybe if we have to go to the, I'm one of those people that actually do believe in the metric system. So, I mean, I know it's hard. I know it's something that we should transition to a long time ago, but, feet, inches, all that stuff, cups, meters. Well, meters is good, but I mean, cups and liters I'd rather use liters myself. And, I mean, there's some things that we are as a nation that are, I think, a little behind on in some regards. But as for freedom and liberty, we still are number one. And we are still the greatest nation right now. But we need to stop this erosion of divisiveness and cultural breakdown to help restore ourselves to a better future, I guess, if you want to say. And that's what my books are about, and that's what the Sentinel Republic is about. Grand dreams, ambitious dreams, yes, but I'm still trying to provide ideas to try to make us better. Am I right on everything? I don't even admit that. I'm just an average guy that just goes about his day. Stay-at-home dad nowadays. I used to work all the time, and now I'm watching the kids, watching them grow, and I get to live a great life in that regard. Am I wealthy? No. I struggle just like everyone else in my grade, in my class, if you want to call it that. But I don't even believe in classes. I don't believe in race. I don't believe in all that stuff. We are one people. And there's different cultures, there's different things. I celebrate cultures. I love cultures. I love different ones. I met a Russian gal at the store today. Very nice conversation, and had a great conversation with her. Very neat stuff. I love hearing about that kind of their world and what they had to go through and what they had to do. And a lot of people lived a hard life. Can't change the past. I've had some hard things happen to me. Everyone does. Everyone has them. It's how we learn and how we grow and how we move on. That's what my whole Where There's No Peace series is about. You have to fight those battles. You have to fight those wars, and you have to come out stronger and better in the end. Even if you lose, you learn and you grow and you try to come out stronger. Yeah, sometimes you lose your life in it, just like a real war. Unfortunately, that's some things we can't control. I mean, I'm not talking just about war itself. Like I said, it's everyone's personal war, everyone's battles. Just getting in a car wreck, it might not even be your fault. That's still your own battle that you're going to have to overcome. But you sit back and you think about all the bad things in history. Oh, these guys had slaves. Oh, these guys had things, and all that. Where the Romans had slaves, and they captured the Goths and the Visigoths and Gauls and everything else, and fed them to the lions and Christians and all that stuff. Where does it end? No, we learn from all those mistakes. We learn from all this stuff, and we move on and we grow. Yeah, there's been travesties over history. Yes, there's been tons. There's been a lot of things that bad happened, but can we go back and change them? No. Do we give billions of dollars to make it right? No, that doesn't make things right. It just makes it more subservient people, and it's not a way to live, and it's not a way to go. But that's how we go today. I do hope you enjoy. I know this is a long video, very long. It's 40 minutes long, I know. I didn't mean to go on so long, but this is a big topic and a harsh topic, and we had to get it out. And I do hope you find my content enjoyable. I would love to see more comments. Like I say, I don't expect everyone to agree with everything here, but I think the tax system here is 90%. I think everyone knows it's broken. I'd like to see anyone other than a politician or a rich elite or someone come in and say it's not broken, because it is. I'm not wanting to pay all these kind of taxes and fees and garbage especially for the product that we're getting of junk, bureaucracy, bloat, corrupt politicians, and just mess and untransparent government. It's not how it's supposed to be. They're working for us, not for them. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you on the flip side.